Now, you're a good storyteller, I see. And facts tell, stories sell. I'm not a great storyteller. I'm a fact guy. I'm a factual boom, boom, boom. How do I become a better storyteller? Or how would anyone become a better storyteller?
Well, um, I hear you on that. There's that old expression in Texas is like, don't let the facts get in the way of a good story. I think that's how that goes. You know, listen, I would argue the greatest teacher in the history of humanity was Jesus, and Jesus taught through parables, right? So, we could go around and tell people, hey, be nice to each other, but somehow the Good Samaritan speaks to people's souls. I mean, we could go all around the world and say, do you know the story of the Good Samaritan? And people know the story of the Good Samaritan. Like there's Samaritan Hospital, Samaritan this, and they know it because of that story, right? So I think that maybe what you got to think about is like, what's the underlying truth, and then what's the way to explain the truth in a concept that connects to people. And the other part I would tell you is that I try to be very vulnerable, and I try to like just really tell my truth. Like this is my story. This is what happened to me. And I think that you're a clearly well-educated guy and you're a confident guy, and just with that can be intimidating to people. Like people are listening to you just like, oh, like this guy is a strong guy. And so when you're able to open up and you tell a story about uh, something hard you went through, like for me, you know, I was in my early 40s. I had gotten back in shape. I was running 5Ks and winning them. My career was going great, and I was crushing it. I got appointed by Senator Marco Rubio, the Military Academy Appointment Board, which I still do. I've done it like 13 times. So I had a Saturday that I did the appointment board all day. It's like, so I worked all week, all day meeting with kids going to the military academy. And then that Sunday, because I'm crazy, I ran a half marathon. Ran the best time of my life, ever going to run. Crossed the finish line. I was like, man, I don't feel good. I saw an ambulance. There was an ambulance. I was like, I almost walked up to the ambulance. I almost walked up because I was like, I don't feel right. So just kind of ignored it, kind of walked it off. Next day was Monday. Didn't know it, walked it off. Next day was Tuesday. I had one meeting and nothing else on my calendar. And I just drove to the doctor's office, no appointment. I said, man, there's something wrong. And I'll never forget the nurse is walking me back to the doctor's office. She goes, I think you're suffering from depression. It's like, what? And brother, let me tell you, I got diagnosed with clinical depression. And the doctor told me it was going to take me 1 year to get through it. And it was the worst hell on earth I've ever experienced. It was the worst. I mean, I always tell people, hit pause before you judge somebody that kills themselves. Because if you've not been through clinical depression, you do not know what that's like, right? So for 1 year, I took Klonopin and Zoloft. I lost a ton of weight because I couldn't eat. I had to kind of fake my way through a lot of things in life to try to get through that. And there was a long season. I was really embarrassed about it, and it was hard for me to talk about. But once I was able to like figure out a way to share and tell that story, it helped me so much in empathy and connecting with other people. Right now, I will tell you, some people don't like it when I talk about it. Some people may think less of me when they hear that story. Some, who knows? But when I've learned to just have the confidence of like, this is my story, this is my humanity, this is who I am, it's created a better and higher intimacy. And it's given me a more full life. So I think that's what I'd say. It's like, what is your truth? And then putting that context of your own feelings and your own story and sharing it. Maybe I'll give you this different example. It was maybe a year ago. Got asked to be on a podcast or some sort of event, was recorded. It was during COVID, so it was on Zoom, and I was with three Black women, and it was about race. And I was like, geez, how am I going to be credible? How am I going to talk about this? What am I do? So I actually opened with telling that story I just told you, and the context I gave was, I don't know what it's like to be a Black woman. Obviously, I do know what it's like to experience trauma. Like I have experienced trauma. I know what it's like to look inside the abyss and feel hopelessness. And I said, so I can have empathy to another person's feelings. I can't have empathy towards being racially profiled, but if somebody says, man, I felt trauma, like I have felt trauma. I have felt that. That sucks and I hate it. So the panel went great, but it went great not because I was preaching and saying you. I was saying I've experienced this and I have compassion for others because of the pain I've been through myself. That really worked.